Defence Minister says he's not resigning. Climate change threats greater in rural areas. And 100 graduate as emerging fashion designers in Leh.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening, this is Friday's news. Thanks for your company. Minister for Defence and member for Telefomin, Solan Merapi, has announced that speculation on social media about him resigning his portfolio as Minister for Defence is not true. This announcement was made in relation to member for Taripori James Merapi resigning as Finance Minister yesterday.
On the government funding.
The Defence Minister says he was surprised to hear the decision made by Mr. Merapi yesterday, but he respects his decision. Minister Merapi says Mr. Merapi made these decisions on behalf of the people of his electorate.
He hasn't decided yesterday that he will join which faction. He decided yesterday, or he resigned yesterday as a finance minister. He's still a member of People's National Congress Party and with this current government.
The minister also said that in order for him to resign as Minister for Defence, he would have to seek consent from his family, his voters and his people, adding that the speculations on social media, especially Facebook, are not true.
My voters, people of Telefomin, PNC Defence Force organization, and the entire country, that the news on the social media yesterday of me, Honorable Solan Merapi, the Minister for Defence and the member for Telefomin, being resigned as the Minister for Defence yesterday, is all fake, is all false, and is not true. It is all untrue.
The minister made it clear that Mr. Merapi is still part of the government and is still part of the People's National Congress Party, or PNC. Minister Merapi says his electorate, Telefomin, is a very small area that hardly has any major development reaching it. Therefore, he plans to stay with the government and carry on his ministerial position.
I have major projects in my district, like Tabubel, also with Telefomin, Oksapmin Road, that is under construction. Under this government, I need to deliver the road until 2022. And other major projects and also minor projects within the districts that I am looking forward to deliver.
In addition to the minister's development plan for his electorate, he is planning to negotiate with Digicel, who already has towers set up in the area, to provide antennas so EMTV as well as other TV stations can be available to the people, which he plans to roll out next year.
The district is isolated, but with the communication, it can bring people together, and they can communicate outside the world as well. And also installing up internet to the schools. We're actually doing that, so we need to have these services like EMTV and NBC down to the people so they can access them and they can know what's happening around the world.
Michelle Stephen, National EMTV News.
The signing of the $13 million Papua LNG project that has allocated only 2% for landowners has raised concerns on how landowners will benefit from this share. In an interview with EMTV today, member for Kerama, Richard Mendani, pointed out that this percentage is not enough for the people of Gulf Province.
When interviewed, Mendani said, as the member for Kerama, he was not aware of what happened to date. He says this is a major resource development project that everyone has been talking about, but the signing had none of his contributions. Mendani says he doesn't want to be part of the agreement and also be blamed for any issues that arise during the future development of the project.
I've been with the Minister of Petroleum, Dr. Fabian Borg. I've been talking to Director for LNG. I've been talking to the landowners. But nobody has ever come across and said, what are your views? How do you put an input into this into the agreement?
He says this project costs billions and the share local landowners will receive is just not enough. He also said the government has to identify the rightful landowners of the project before allocating shares. Mendani says there should be more major developments in the Gulf province when the project rolls out.
Well, we have the wellhead landowners, we have the pipeline landowners, we have the processor plant landowners. And if you look at the ILGs, how many ILGs are there? So 2% will might be like 0.00. It's in nominal terms, it's zero, less than 0.0 something. And that is what happened to the BNG landowners. They were told that they were given equity, but there was nothing. And today nobody exactly knows what is the monetary value in Denmark per capita.
Michelle Stephen, National EMTV News.
Climate change has presented major challenges for people living in rural areas of the country. In Makasili village in the West New Britain province, 4 roads have been destroyed by rising sea levels as a result of climate change. One local said access to clean drinking water is a big challenge for them, as all clean water wells have been contaminated by seawater.
Climate change is a real issue, and many villages in rural areas are affected by its impacts. This is what's left of this road after the rising sea level washed away part of it. 3 other roads, which used to be the only means of access for the people of Makasili village to basic services, is now underwater. The villagers were left with no option but to move to higher ground.
Mi play experience me amas pla basket oli walking pinisha still solvora kam rausin. Na mi play ko ting mo sem best way ta solo sanapim si wall and by protecting mi play long desala si level na.
An elementary school teacher from the area said women are faced with the challenge of walking long distance to find clean drinking water. She also said the elementary school is under threat of being washed away by the rising sea level.
School planti time waras ta pull up guantam na trangol kini ol sa siram tamble sembra time ken waras ken come inside the classroom long. So sen na mi pla walking classroom antap because mi pla start now walking on new classroom antap because tamble lo cement planti time wara kam pull up and ken like bagara floor.
According to West New Britain Provincial Administrator Williamson Osaya, the provincial government is aware of the issues affecting the people. He said they have allocated funds from the provincial budget to help the people.
Every year, the provincial government pumps in money so we can look at complete upgrading the road properly. This year, I think the open member for Tolasia and our governor has funding for the road.
Meanwhile, the Climate Change and Development Authority, through the Red Plus initiative, is also working on addressing the issues of climate change in the country. CCDA Communications Manager Ethel Namuri said the Red Plus initiative will encourage people to grow trees to help minimize the impacts of climate change.
Communities, especially down at village level, we try to assist them in the assist them to understand how important it is to conserve their forests, especially within their local context. And
Rayon Lakingu, National EMTV News.
A 15-seater Toyota Hiace bus overturned at 5:45 this morning next to the Gordon police station. 2 of the persons involved in the accident received serious injuries and were taken to hospital by St. John Ambulance, who arrived on the scene minutes after the accident occurred. The accident occurred between 5 and 6 a.m. along the Poraporana stretch of road next to the Gordon police station. A family from Mikhail were travelling to the village on their way to Erima when a sedan making an illegal U-turn cut through their path. It is believed the driver of the sedan was intoxicated and did not see the Toyota Hiace moving in from his left at high speed.
So like BCM na come left lane ya, like silo news plane by looking market, clear one.
Police from the Saraga Response Unit arrived on the scene, as well as paramedics from the St. John Ambulance Service.
Ambulance come, St. John ambulance come. All police come. So me talk thank you Lord Satu. Lord safety from
Of the 8 people that were in the 15-seater bus, the driver and a woman who received serious injuries to their leg and head respectively were rushed to the hospital. The National Disaster Centre has responded to comments made by MP for Vanimo Green regarding NCD's relief response to the floods that resulted in the collapse of Dali Bridge and devastation along Green River as flooding continues. Acting Director of NCD, Dr. Bill Hamblin, says they are working to mobilize resources to assist the communities affected by the disaster. PNGDF Civil Military Liaison Officer Captain Kelvin Lucky, who is attached with NCD office, says their relief exercise is still in preparatory stage to establish crisis coordinators and gather information before they move into the disaster-affected areas.
I call this media conference today to respond to the member for Vanimo Green's comments on the National Disaster Centre and its need that it needed to be proactive and respond to disasters, and the fact that 2 weeks ago he indicated that he had contacted them regarding the floods that had devastated his electorate. I want to say that most of what the member says in respect to the NDC is correct. The NDC has been neglected and undervalued by various governments over an extended period. The NDC lacks staff. In respect of the current localised disaster in Vanimo Green, the NDC is mobilising resources to address the issues. We're not going to sit back and do nothing. This will include a mission to the site to establish the actual needs, but we shan't wait for the mission results. In the interim, food supplies will be airlifted to the appropriate locations.
Our relief exercise in West Sepik. What we're going to do is we're going to attach a crisis manager to support provincial disaster coordinator. What will happen is that we'll firstly, working in 2 parts, establishing the logistics chain that is required for the movement of relief supplies, and also information management. Information management primarily meaning the risk assessments, the needs analysis, information on transportation, infrastructure, condition of airstrips, local areas where we can land helicopters and relief supplies. Trying to do procurement, we have to wait for finance to come out to purchase it. No one's going to give us food supplies and stuff like that without money. And that's why we do the preparatory phase, where we go and establish contracts first, so that once the contract is there, they can release things to us.
You're with Friday's news. Among stories after the break, challenges in rural hospitals in Merapi, designers graduate, and our week in review. Stay tuned for details when we come back from this break. Welcome back. The Kabul Rural Hospital is expected to ease the challenges health centers in the district face with referring patients to other bigger hospitals, says District Administrator Fidelis Harrisol. The project, which will be built, was launched this week, and the hospital will be registered when it is completed, according to Mr. Harrisol.
The Kabum Health Center at the district station gets referrals from the smaller health centers and 8 posts in the district. From here, the more serious cases are referred to the Etep Rural Hospital in the Tewaisiasi district or Engau in Ley.
Some time me plus I succeed because also me plus Holy Marapla Road and help him so come also Prosangaman or one or division or Salem Sada balus or sopai kam lifting all this la patients I go out long angao or etep all this.
Mr. Bossing is the community health worker at Yalumet. He says referrals have been a struggle due to the poor state of roads. This week, the district launched its 5-year development plan. This includes plans to build a new Kabum Rural Hospital.
So mipla bili bosen desala housing em by saving good life long all referral blow mipla time mipla salemol sik manikam long all health facilities saving time long.
District Administrator Fidelis Harrisol said this will reduce the burdens for referrals, including the costs involved.
Especially with referrals, when we have the rural hospital, I think it will really help the people of Kabum to get medical services close to their, to the district.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News.
Kabum District Administrator Fidelis Harrisol confirms that there needs to be more health workers in the Kabum district. Mr. Harrisol made these comments following reports on the shutdown of 8 posts due to the lack of staff.
Health services in the Kabum district are currently faced with 2 problems: the lack of staff and medicine shortages. This was confirmed by District Administrator Fidelis Harrisol.
Yes, most of our health posts or 8 posts are unstaffed, and we also have shortage of medical supplies, but I think we are operating okay.
In December last year, EMTV reported that more than 28 posts in the Kabum district were shut down due to the lack of staff. Muse Bossing is a community health worker at the Yalumet Health Center. He says this is partly due to challenges faced by health workers in the rural areas.
So mi pilimos sabos gamani look sabena putim all this line no plug go silo system mi pilimos all this la all can stop lo this la all weekend stop or 25 one number di stop ya sample all this la unstop ya all can occupy na providing good plus service go all community.
Mr. Harrisol said the district will look into addressing this problem.
I think we will try and correct that and get some staff recruited, not recruited, but at least get a staff in place and get a service moving.
Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News.
About 100 participants of a fashion workshop in Merapi province graduated as emerging designers on Wednesday. The participants included mothers, youths and persons with disabilities. The workshop was organized by the PNG Fashion and Design Week in partnership with the Australian government.
On Wednesday, the inside of the resource center at Butibam village was a colorful display of garments portraying originality and creativity. These garments were the finished products of individuals who completed a 2-week training in fashion and designing. Most of them had no background in sewing, but a desire to learn something new. A mother from Butibam, Judith Lowe, was one without any knowledge or background in sewing. But after graduating on Wednesday, Judith says her days of paying other women to sew her Mary blouses were now over.
I cannot believe that I can sew something. Like seeing these machines with these overlockers, meeting also something blow man all savvy, but now one time this training now me lining I make it seem like I can handle these things too. It's very simple.
The workshop was organized by the PNG Fashion and Design Week in partnership with the Australian government. This was the first for Merapi province. Participants were privileged to have renowned PNG designers Anna Amos and Tabu Pele as their trainers. The project manager of the organizing committee, Sasha Paylovo, said the turnout was good despite the fact that Morabians were so reserved when it came to fashion and design. What made this 2-week workshop more special was the fact that it was inclusive and gave people with special needs a chance to showcase their skills.
I myself, I saw this dress and then my own design here.
and my small bag, and then now I know many things because I got many experience. Within these 3 weeks, not waste, but I make out of it.
With the skills learned, most of the participants say they will be venturing into SMEs like textile and screen printing. Others, like young Peniel Newman, says he will be using what he learned to contribute to a rugby union team that he plays for.
So sometimes all tournaments are on. Like me, I find him all line to make a walkout set the boys, make him some like kind, but come lo just line no milani plan something we look me people mangin na wasting more money people god lo land we can creating gain or workout sets with team players.
The graduates commenced with a business training workshop under the initiative of the same organizing committee. This training will end next week. It is particularly for participants who are thinking of starting a business after the fashion workshop. Similar workshops will be conducted in Rabaul from the 22nd of April to the 7th of May. Charlene Eri, National EMTV News, Ley.
The last 24 hours has had Papua New Guineans on social media buzzing with excitement. Before Finance Minister James Merapi announced his resignation, very few people, both opposition members and public political commentators, expected a crack in the People's National Congress ranks that high up. Merapi said he was leaving because the Prime Minister had lost trust in him and that the PM's associates had contributed to it. His resignation, interestingly, comes immediately after the signing of the Papua LNG project agreement, which allocated 2% to landowners in the Gulf province. Scott Wade reviews the politics this week.
Until yesterday, James Merapi was one of the top men in the Prime Minister's inner circle. As Finance Minister, he was a major player in the formulation of 6 national budgets and oversaw various finance-related policies by the O'Neill-Abel government. While on the surface things appeared smooth, but there was a turbulent undercurrent. It was only yesterday that Merapi revealed publicly what many other MPs had previously expressed, that the faceless political hangers-on were affecting and influencing political decisions in the country. Merapi said the Prime Minister had lost trust in him, and part of it was because associates of the government contributed to that distrust.
It's a personal choice, and it's, like I said, making way for others to ascend and hopefully become minister, and giving opportunity for PM to reconfigure his cabinet so that he can have cabinet ministers that he fully trusts. In the last few weeks, news continue to come out from his office that and it shows that they got no trust in me. So, what's the point holding on to office when they have an element of mistrust?
With a vote of no confidence looming, political prophets are interpreting James Merapi's resignation and coming up with different results. Behind the scenes, insiders say numbers on the fringes of the coalition appear fluid, while the core remains largely intact. Adding to that, James Merapi says he is remaining with the PNC. His disagreements with the PM stem from various what he called work-related matters, including local participation in the oil and gas projects.
Issues of the country needs to be addressed, but he has shown habit that he disregards many of our advices in most instances, and I feel that some of us must make way so that he can find other candidates who are compatible to his way of thinking to be in such an important post to run the affairs of our country.
Yesterday, rumors were rife that the Defence Minister Solan Merasim had also resigned. Today, he told media representatives in Port Moresby he had no intention of resigning.
My voters, people of Telefomin, PNC Defence Force organization, and the entire country, that the news on the social media yesterday of me, Honorable Solan Merasim, the Minister for Defence and the member for Telefomin, being resigned as the Minister for Defence yesterday is all fake, is all false, and is not true.
Merapi's resignation comes days after the signing of the Papua LNG project, a deal that has again fanned dissatisfaction following the announcement that landowners would get 2% of the $13 billion project. Like most political situations involving numbers on the floor of Parliament, it's best to read between the lines, study the undercurrent and then listen to what politicians aren't saying. Yesterday, the Prime Minister Peter O'Neill said he accepted Merapi's resignation, but work still had to go on. The PNC will be shoring up its numbers with the PM and party leader talking to its members. This week will be a crucial time for the coalition.
Stories making headlines overseas when we come back. Don't go away. Before we turn overseas, Telecom Fiji Limited will now be able to provide more efficient digital services for Fijian households and small to medium-term enterprises. This comes after a partnership with Huawei, which saw the company launch its 10G passive optical all-fiber network. This will make it possible for Fijians to enjoy 4K to 8K videos, smart home services and high-speed enterprise interconnections. Telecom Fiji Sales and Marketing General Manager Joseph Nawa says the company is confident this partnership with Huawei will maintain their technological leadership in the region.
Online gaming and virtual reality are offering customers amazing internet experience. The number of devices connecting to the network has dramatically increased. This only means that there are growing needs for bandwidth. To enhance user experience and create new value, operators need new technologies that deliver higher bandwidth, better services, and this is exactly what Telecom Fiji has embarked upon.
In the future, we will continue innovating and will bring the latest, the best, the most cost-effective solution to support our customer to achieve business success.
Turning overseas now, he's captured some of the most iconic images in some of the world's most remote locations. But after more than half a century behind the camera, New Zealand filmmaker Max Quinn is putting down the lens. His keen eye has captured polar bears, penguins and nuclear submarines and even inspired viral videos.
Max Quinn has spent most of his life behind the camera.
This is my happy place. When you're behind the camera, you're in a world of your own.
A world many could only dream of. He's responsible for some of the most breathtaking wildlife imagery you'll ever see, like this antsy-looking polar bear protecting her two cubs.
If the bear sees Max as a threat, he's in deep trouble.
Strangely enough, I didn't feel any fear at all. I can honestly say that. I was looking through the viewfinder and I often describe it as being a bit like at the movies.
The thing about these guys, they get to know the animals and they kind of get to read when it is they need to move back.
Max started his career more than 50 years ago, first working in drama.
This was the first film that I ever made. It was called Lost on Mount Mornington, starring my brother Keith Quinn and guest star Mum.
It wouldn't be long, though, until he found a role with Natural History New Zealand, taking trips to the Antarctic and the Arctic almost every year.
On one occasion we did film and temperatures were down to minus 50 degrees, and even with my cold weather cover on the camera still refused to work.
This shot here of an American nuclear submarine smashing through the frozen ocean, just meters from where he was standing. But it's this one which has to be the most iconic, with several people doctoring the falling penguin.
The last time I saw it was 14 million hits or something.
But like all good things, it's come to an end, with Max's final day at work this week.
I'm not actually the greatest cameraman in the world, I have to admit that. But, you know, I'm just pleased it's been such a big part of my life.
He won't put his feet up for too long, though. First, he's got a book to write, a trip down memory lane for a man who's just about seen it all.
The man who yelled abuse at Muslim mosque goers while police stood by could be going to jail. The 33-year-old labourer says he doesn't remember the incident outside a Christchurch mosque and was shocked when police showed him footage.
Leaving court guilty of disorderly behaviour likely to incite violence outside the El Noor Mosque.
I'm very sorry. I didn't realise what I did until I saw it on the news, and that's what really hit me badly, because I was like, I can't believe this was actually me.
wearing a T-shirt printed with the words "Trump for New Zealand." Daniel Tuapaua stood opposite the Al Noor Mosque, where over 40 people were shot dead 4 weeks ago in the terrorist attack, and shouted at people as they left prayers.
I just heard him shouting profanity, saying all Muslims are terrorists, we need to get the F out of New Zealand.
But the 33-year-old labourer claims to have no recollection of the incident.
I just have blackouts in that, and I'm very sorry. I'm so sorry about that, okay?
The defence lawyer told the court his client has a history of alcohol and drug abuse and that he'd recently stopped taking his anxiety medication. He said his client is deeply ashamed of his actions and it's something he'll have to live with for the rest of his life.
Don't come and incite violence and speak in a way which is disrespectful to all the people who have died. You know, I was in there that day and I've had to bury, friends of mine and stuff, and it's shameful that happened.
Police are investigating why he wasn't arrested on the spot by armed police at the mosque, something which has disappointed the community. Now Tuapaua wants to apologise face to face.
As soon as I see them, I'll know what to say from my heart. That I didn't mean no harm. I'm sorry.
I forgive him. His actions were poor that day, and I hope he's remorseful. I sincerely hope he's remorseful.
He will be sentenced in July, the judge not ruling out prison for his tirade against a community that's already been through so much.
Advertisers who walked away from Facebook in protest after the terrorist shooting in Christchurch say they are too small to make a difference. So they're calling for the New Zealand government to urgently step in and regulate the social media giant.
New Zealand advertisers were quick to ditch Facebook after the alleged Christchurch gunman live-streamed the mosque shootings on the site. But after taking a stand against the social media giant, commercial reality is biting. A number of companies now resuming normal service.
I think anybody that's going back is probably feeling uneasy, and I think probably many of them have gone back reluctantly. But as I say, there's a business imperative. Advertising drives sales and drives brand awareness.
Despite taking a moral stand, advertisers say the response has been underwhelming.
We are 4 weeks down the track from the events in Christchurch, and there's been nothing meaningful from Facebook at all in terms of the core issue.
They're now urging the New Zealand government to step in and regulate Facebook. The country's biggest advertisers want major changes to its live streaming platform.
I don't believe that's biting the hand that feeds us. Ultimately, social media is a really valuable platform for advertising. What we want to do is make sure it's safe and it's sustainable.
The government's told One News it welcomes the leadership of the advertising industry. It says change needs to happen on a global scale, involving other governments and social media companies. With New Zealand at the centre of this latest social media storm, advertisers say our government's ideally positioned to take the lead when it comes to that global change.
WikiLeaks co-founder Julian Assange is waking up inside a British jail after a 7-year self-imposed exile came to a dramatic end. UK police dragging him from Ecuador's embassy in London after its new government withdrew his asylum. Assange is now fighting extradition to the US, where he faces conspiracy charges relating to one of the largest ever leaks of government secrets.
This is a classified US military video published by WikiLeaks in 2010. It shows a US Apache helicopter firing on and killing Iraqi civilians and 2 journalists in 2007. Just one leak from hundreds of thousands of military documents and diplomatic cables that put Julian Assange and his organisation firmly in the US government's firing line.
It puts people's lives in danger.
It puts at risk our national security.
But it's information WikiLeaks insists it had every right to publish, and Assange's potential extradition to America is raising concerns about the implications for journalism.
Well, if you just look at how the media outlets around the world have used that archive, it's probably the single most valuable journalistic archive published in the last 50 years.
The US accusing Assange of conspiring with former soldier Chelsea Manning to hack government computers, a charge that could allow prosecutors to avoid the thorny issue of press freedom, which is enshrined in America's Constitution.
It's clearly a threat to the First Amendment. government because it criminalizes core journalistic functions.
More recently, the WikiLeaks headlines have centred on the 2016 US presidential election and documents that authorities said were hacked by Russia to harm Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton.
But the bottom line is he has to answer for what he has done.
What is clear is that if Assange does face trial in the US, a political storm awaits as well.
You're at Friday's News. Up next, we take a look at some sporting updates in Trukai Sports. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To the NRL, the West Tigers have sent the Brisbane Broncos crashing to their worst start to the 2019 NRL season with the last gasp 22-16 win at Suncorp Stadium. Locked at 16 all, a field goal looked to set it down for either team, but the visitors put it through the hands of the Tigers. With no one to pass to, bench forward Michael Cam turned through a gap where Darius Boyd lost his footing, sending Cam over the try line. The loss has left the Broncos with just one win from the first 5 rounds of the season, costing the Brisbane team a commanding lead at the break. Brothers Gold Coast Titans are going up against Penrith Panthers, while the North Queensland Cowboys go head-to-head with the only undefeated team in the competition right now, the Melbourne Storm, later tonight. Just 5 months out from the Rugby World Cup, outspoken Wallabies fullback Israel Folau has gone from saviour to outcast. He's desperately trying to save his career after his latest derogatory comment embarrassed his employers, who are now preparing to tear up his contract. But after being so outspoken online, now he's not saying much to anyone.
Israel Folau at a Sydney cafe preparing to fight for his rugby career. The Wallaby star alongside wife silver fern shooter Maria Folau meeting with the Australian Players Association boss.
Do you have nothing to say about those posts on social media?
Folau has been avoiding the spotlight since his latest Instagram post, where he told his 325,000 followers homosexuals and other sinners were going to hell. Earlier, no one was answering the door at the Folau home, although it looked like someone was there. After trying and failing to contact Folau for more than 24 hours, last night Rugby Australia issued a statement saying unless there are mitigating circumstances, Folau's multi-million-dollar contract will be terminated. He'll have the chance to argue his case at a Players Association hearing. The former Storm and Broncos star is unwelcome back at the NRL, so if he wants to stay in Australian professional sport, he has to change Rugby Australia's mind. But the list of those in the game disgusted by his actions continues to grow. Former All Black Nehimilda Scudder, who played 3 tests against Folau, joining the chorus.
I think, it spreads hate, spreads rejection, a message of intolerance, indifference.
But someone visiting the Folau house today was defending the 63-test Wallaby.
He's right, 100%.
Why is that?
Because it says in the Bible.
So what do you think should happen to homosexuals?
They need to turn to Jesus before it's too late, man.
The big question now, is it too late to save his career?
Your career is all but over. How does it feel?
After only just becoming Super Rugby's top try scorer, the Waratahs fullback has a battle on his hands to get the chance to add to that tally.
Brooks Koepka has shot into the lead at the Masters. The 3-time major champion has opened with a bogey-free 6-under par round to sit alongside Bryson DeChambeau, at the top of the leaderboard.
It took a slimmed down Brooks Koepka just 4 holes to go from 1 shot behind to 3 shots ahead in the first round of the Masters.
Maybe another roll, and just like that.
Birdies at 12 and 13, followed by this pinpoint putt at the 14th.
Take it, yeah.
And when in trouble at 15, the magic kept coming.
That's brilliant. It's genius.
A quartet of birdies propelling Koepka to 6 under par. The same Koepka questioned pre-tournament for losing 11 kilograms, reportedly to appear in a soon-to-be-released edition of ESPN magazine, The Body.
It seemed to me like, rather than pose for a magazine,
where you were naked, I think you'd look a lot better in a green jacket, personally.
But he still has a fight to get in that jacket. At the end of the day, tied at the top alongside the scientist, Bryson DeChambeau. The ever-analytic American, at times pretty good.
It looks great.
Well, actually, almost perfect.
Watch this. Hit it.
His 6 under 66 featuring 6 back 9 birdies.
How about this? How about this? Look at this! Goodness!
The pair lead a host of household names, and while DeChambeau almost had that hole-in-one at the 16th, 3-time Masters champion Phil Mickelson was having some fun of his own, a shot back.
Oh, goodness.
Johnson, Scott, Rahm and Fowler amongst the others in the mix, while in the woods, a Tiger lurks. The 4-time Masters winner with a first round 70, a starting number with some significance.
I've only shot, I think, under 71 times, but I've shot, 70 the 4 times that I have won here.
Those seeking their first green jackets being hunted by Masters legends.
And that ends Shukai Sports. The weather details for the next 24 hours when we return.
Shukai Sports. Shukai Sports. Shukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. PNG karatekas will not be attending this year's Pacific Games because karate has not been included in the games. PNG karate coach Julius Piku says they are now preparing for the Olympic qualifiers and other tournaments scheduled for this year. 2 PNG karatekas are currently competing in Sydney, Australia in the Oceania Karate Championships.
The feeling is that most of our athletes, even myself, with sort of like seeing the other athletes preparing, the vibes, and I sort of felt like, motivation is a factor that we should be in there. But I think there's some technicalities involved where the host country, I believe, doesn't have a karate sport in there. So this is one of the factors that is contributing to us not participating in. But we hope that in the future something should be addressed within our karate body so that we can see our team being represented in the games. Yeah.
IBS University hosted its annual Sports Fun Day today, which saw students competing in 5 different sporting codes. The event, supported by PNG High Performance Sport, was aimed at getting students to socialize and have fun.
This time every year, students of IBS University get together to socialize through sporting activities organized by PNG High Performance and IBS University sports coordinators. Today, students played netball, football, touch footy, basketball and volleyball.
Our vision states that 2019 will become one of the successful year in terms of academic performance and the social lives of students attending IBS University. So as you can see, students are playing. It reflects that with our SRC, we don't want students to, stress their minds or brains or put their heads into their studies or all these things. So we want to give them a relaxation. So we come up with the initiatives of hosting Sports Fun Day.
Matthew says not only is sports good for health and fitness, it is also a way to identify individual talents.
Usually carry this activity out for the social lives for the students. Most of the times we are engaged with our academic side, so this is one of the activities to do with our social lives here.
PNG High Performance, who partnered with IBS University a few years ago, also assists the students in coordinating the games. Not only this, as part of their talent identification programs, High Performance is also on the lookout to scout potential talents identified at tertiary institutions.
We're having the High Performance Center on board because they have this scholarship scheme for the high performance with the sports, and they collaborated with our university, and most of them are engaged with the IBS TVET College. So we've decided to take them on board due to some of the factors, for example, to help us ref the games, to help us with the warm-ups, to attend to the injuries of the students here, because most of us are not experts in those stuff. That's why we engage them to come on board.
Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
To AFL, and Port Moresby AFL footy is back again and will be kicking off its pre-season Lightning 12s competition this Saturday at the Colts AFL Oval. The tournament will see 15 teams with 24 men's and 6 women's teams. The Lightning 12s tournament is sponsored by Borneo Pacific Pharmaceutical Limited. True Kai Sports continues with more after the break. Don't go away.
True Kai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast in the southern region. Fine weather in Port Moresby, Alutau and Popondetta, a shower or two in Daru, and showers in Kerema.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for today, Friday, 12th of April 2019. On behalf of the EMTV News team, have a pleasant evening and a safe weekend. Good night.